Welcome to the Everything Coworking podcast. This is your host, Jamie Russo. Thank you for joining me. I'm so glad you're here. So before we start, as usual, I have to give a shout out to my recently certified community managers, Paula Young with the TREP School in Danville, Illinois, and Jacqueline Bryant with the Local Works in Macomb, Mississippi. Congrats for getting your coworking community manager certification. Okay, so today we are going to talk about 3 things to take action on in your co-working business before the end of the year. It is October, my friends. It is sneaking up on us. We're almost the middle of October. So we are cruising into Q4. So any of the big plans that you've made for 2022, they need to get done now. So while you're working on getting your big goals met this year, or just about ready to start 2023 planning. And I think we're probably going to run our planning session. We did a planning workshop, I think in 2020. I think it was 2020. And I think we're going to do it again. We did not do it last year. So stay tuned. Okay. So 3 things you want to be remembering to do in your business for the end of 2022. The first 2 are fairly related. One is make sure that your co-working membership agreements have an auto increase in them. So this means that somewhere in your agreement, it says that this is for office members, generally not for dedicated desk or flex desks or whatever you call those more flexible memberships. But for your offices, there's an automatic 5% increase every year. This is for a few reasons. One, so that you don't have to negotiate the price of the office if someone stays and auto renews their membership. And B, it gives you a way to make sure that you're not getting way behind market rates if someone is a wonderful member and stays for years. So we had a few members in our Palo Alto space that were there for all 7 years. And so we did not have the 5% increase in our member agreement and got into trouble because market rent was going up much more than 5% per year. So we got behind on tracking to market rates. And that is suggestion number 2 for one more thing you want to do between now and the end of the year is you do it or have your community manager do it. Do a market pricing review for 2023 to make sure you are aware of how prices have shifted. Things are, still changing. We have inflation, but in many markets, we have more demand than supply. So you want to know where you stand. And based on experience, this can take you by surprise. So I operated in both Chicago and Palo Alto. And in Palo Alto, real estate prices were going up and up and up, and we missed some opportunities to take pricing. And that can be a pretty significant opportunity on your offices when they turn over. So sometimes we get so focused on the anxiety we feel when we have offices that open up that we're not paying attention to what pricing looks like. It can also go the other way. What happened to us in Palo Alto was that dedicated desk and hot desk pricing went down on us while office pricing was going up. This was kind of a local market thing that was happening. And so we were overpriced on our dedicated desk and our hot desks. And we had to make some adjustments, which is very tricky to do when you have current members who are rolling along paying a higher rate. Whether you choose to take action is one thing, but you need to make sure that you know what's happening in your market. And don't assume that you do until you go out and actually look at what people are charging on their website, and new entrants are coming online all the time. And so the dynamics will shift. So get a spreadsheet out. We had a template that once we got our game on this topic, we just created a template that had, the local competitors and the types of products they offered. And we would just update the pricing. We get it from their website. You can call and ask. And just fill that in so that apples to apples. I would do it on a per seat price basis because it's really tricky to compare office prices to office prices unless you know what the capacity of that office is. Again, sometimes it's hard to get apples to apples. Sometimes you're comparing a window office versus an interior office. Team suite pricing. I was just doing this work for a market for a project that I'm working on. And, team suite prices, I was a little surprised to see went down as the number of seats went up. So not terribly surprised, but a little surprised at how much they went down. So a one-person seat in an office for only a one-person office was much higher than a one-person seat in an office that holds 8 people, for example. So you just want to kind of know what's happening in your local market so that you can, even if you're not going to make any changes, be prepared to speak to those comments or objections that come up when you give tours. But also you will have renewals that come up in 2023. And if you need to adjust your pricing, hopefully adjusting it up, you want to be paying attention to that. And you also want to know if you have room to adjust for inflation. We have this conversation on our Everything Coworking Academy calls that we do every month. And a lot of folks are hesitant to take pricing. Actually, my best CrossFit friend was texting me yesterday because our CrossFit gym increased their prices. So I work out at home a lot. So I am on the punch card, and I was not aware of any pricing, but the pricing for the full-time membership must have just gone up by about $30 a month. And I said, Christine, she's adjusting for inflation. And she said, Christine did not like the fact that she was adjusting for inflation. And she said, well, I said, gas is more expensive. Groceries are more expensive. If you leave your pricing the same, you are effectively making less money because your expenses have gone up. And so in order to keep your margin the same, you have to raise prices. And so Christine's argument was that most companies are not raising employee wages. And so why does the CrossFit owner get to raise her wage? But business owners have to watch out for their margin, and they have to create a sustainable business. So I encourage you to do the same if you are able to take that pricing. And it may be that she needed to take that pricing increase a while ago, because I'm pretty sure that the other CrossFit gym that Christine and I used to go to before COVID and before it closed was more expensive by far than this one on a monthly basis. And so it may just be that she said, you know what, I can't take it anymore. And I am comfortable using this crazy rate of inflation as an excuse to take pricing, and did it. They also just did construction, and they're making the space bigger. And so the reality of the expenses that they have probably, kind of made them make that decision. So my point is, inflation is significant. So if you are in a market where you have enough demand, you have a great product, you have great marketing, then you might consider taking some pricing, at least on your offices. Again, take a look and see what the pricing is on your flexible options. The other thing you might do is look at creating a flexible office option so that you have a way to sort of, in a sense, take pricing, because the flexibility of not committing to a full-time option comes with premium pricing. So it's really hard to inch up pricing on that 10-day pass or anything that's just really, an infrequent user. You can make it expensive, but making it more expensive over time is kind of challenging because those people don't really need the space. And so they're probably more price sensitive, is my theory. I could be wrong about that. So mostly you're going to focus on offices. I would also focus on meeting rooms. If you have corporate clients that are coming in, then I would, they have budgets, and they're probably not particularly price sensitive unless they have a particular budget that they're working within and have to manage. I have to mention, this is a little bit of a side tangent, but I feel like this might be its own topic. I'm just going to introduce it for you to think about. So I interviewed Brandon Medeiros, who's the co-founder of Alidade Partners, for the Flex Uncensored podcast. And I had to do it without Geo. That's a story for another day. So my co-host was busy anyway, we'll let him tell that story. He had some drama in his day. So I got to interview Brandon, which is really interesting. And he brought up this idea. Sorry, that's a total tangent, but make sure you listen to the episode when he airs, which will be in a couple of weeks, that he thinks that eventually building owners with flexible space in their building, so not necessarily, the boutique, highly serviced co-working space, but flexible options, will price the space differently based on what day of the week people use it. So he gave the example that a manager, from an enterprise company or even, a mid-sized business or a small business might have a meeting budget for the month, and they might run out of it if they use it for the highest demand days of the week, which are Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So they might spread that budget out by booking on cheaper days, which are Mondays and Fridays. So there would have to be a pricing structure in place to support that. But I thought that was really interesting food for thought. So side tangent on pricing, but start thinking about 2023 renewals on offices. And the reason I went on that tangent was meeting rooms and events. If that's really starting to pick up for you, make sure you're pushing on the pricing and increasing that margin as you are able to, because we all know expenses are going up, labor costs are going up, everything's going up. Gas in California, I'm just going to complain about that again. I paid $7.09 a gallon the other day for gas. So I am placing an order for an electric car shortly. Okay, so first thing to think about before the end of the year is put an auto increase in your agreement. If that's 5%, you're not even hitting inflation in the US. You're not getting close to inflation in areas of Europe and the UK. So you want to protect yourself a little bit with that auto increase. Number two, review your market pricing and make sure you know where you're going for 2023 renewals on office prices and meeting and event pricing for 2023. And number three, I want you to start thinking about what revenue stream will you focus on in 2023. My top two suggestions are always mail and meetings. You probably have a lot of opportunity here for mail if you're not listed with multiple lead sources like Anytime Mailbox, iPostal, DaVinci, Alliance, Opus. There are more. Consider doing that, and also work on your SEO, blog posts, and other content that and keywords on your website that will generate organic demand. Another little side tangent, but we also interviewed Matt Going, the CEO of Anytime Mailbox, for the Flex Uncensored podcast. He said that for Anytime customers, I think he said 70% of a typical co-working space operator's customers are within 3 miles of the space. I think that's what he said. I'll have to go back and check that stat. But the main message is lots of male customers live close to the space. So local SEO will help you in terms of generating your own leads in addition to listing on mail platforms. If you're in a smaller market, then you might do really well with SEO. Same with meetings. If you have meeting rooms, make sure you go into an incognito browser and Google meeting room in Albany, New York, or maybe a smaller market. That's probably too big. Something specific. Go and look at Google in an incognito browser, which means it doesn't know who you are and doesn't have all of your cookies, and see if you show up, or event space in, name of your town or city, and see if you come up and how far you are in the search results, because meeting room and event revenue is increasing, as we talked about in the last episode, but you might not be showing up for that category. So if you're not showing up for that, you got to work on that for your SEO and content marketing. So think about what revenue stream you're going to grow in 2023, budget for some SEO work, some content marketing, and budget some time for you and your team to spend focusing on those areas of your business. Okay, short and sweet today. So thinking about 2023, 3 things to do. Quick recap: auto increase in your agreements, 5% or more, market pricing review for 2023 renewals and meeting rooms, and what revenue stream are you going to focus on in 2023? Set aside some budget and commit your team to some time. And that is it for today. We will see you next week.